So welcome back everybody from a break, Thanksgiving break, as we are back on December 2nd. Looking at the syllabus, we have one hands-on test, exam number 5. And for whatever reason, it wanted to sign me out here. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to also review this hands-on test. Now, I will say a couple things about this hands-on test. Number one, if your last hands-on test, number 4, is not basically at 100%, this hands-on test builds on top of number 4. So I would recommend going back and cleaning up number 4 before you start number 5. Now, any test can be retaken. And so if your last hands-on test, if hands-on test number 4, if you just missed 1 or 2 things, you might choose to just move on, right? Because 1 or 2 things, any retake, the best score you're going to get is a 90, right? So if you just missed a couple of points, you're not going to go back and chase those couple of points because, the best thing you're going to get is a 90%. So advice number 1, finish the last hands-on test successfully before you start number 5 because it does build on top of it. Advice number 2, we just had all these lab days for 05, 03. And I would advise you to finish lab 0503 before starting hands-on test number 5. Okay, well, Mr. G, that might mean I don't start the hands-on test until Thursday. Well, so be it, right? You might wind up turning in the hands-on test late, and that's okay, because in order to be successful on this hands-on test number 5, I think you pretty much have to be caught up on the class. Okay, and if you're not caught up, if you're a little bit behind for whatever reason, my advice is to play catch up first on the labs or play catch up first on the prior hands-on test. Now you will notice that I've given about 3 days on this hands-on test. And so let's look at the hands-on test, and I'll link to this on Inside Rankin. You will see that this hands-on test builds on top of HOT3. Remember, HOT4 built on top of HOT3. So it's all built on top of it, off of this HOT3. Now, kind of big picture, what is this doing? There was CRUD operations on a product, whatever your product might have been. And there was also user registration and a /me route where you were doing updates on yourself. And of course, this is just building the React front end for basically all of those back end routes. Like if you look at this, a lot of these routes, these user operations, register new user, there's a back end route for that. Login user, there's a back end route for that. Get user by ID, get user by me, update user by me, list all products, list product by ID. All this test is if you look at all those back-end routes that we've created in the last 2 hands-on tests, now you're building a front end for all those back-end routes. Okay, and then it's like, hey, applications should be absent of runtimes errors, handling success and error messages with React Toastify, a little data validation with Bootstrap validation. Okay, and then React Router for component navigation, persisting user logins until logout, right? So the complexity as far as like what is this test is not overly complex. That does not mean that it will be quickly done. Okay, I do think that this hands-on test will take some time. Now, I've estimated 3 days on the syllabus. Maybe it takes you, that's 12 hours. Maybe it takes you 12 hours. Maybe it takes you 16. Maybe it takes you 20. I don't know. Okay, but I do intend on basically making this the only thing that's due this week. Okay, so this Sunday, the only thing that's due is hands-on test number 5. And again, you have to assess whether you're ready to begin hands-on test number 5. After that, really all that's left is 0504. There's one rubric for 0504, and there's some more rubrics for the final project, but you can kind of look here, we're down to the last 11, 12 days of class after this week. We are winding down. Okay, so that's kind of what's on the agenda for this week. If you can finish up the hands-on test number 5, let's get that finished up and move on to 0504. You're going to notice that 0504 is not due yet. That's where we are. Now, I will be doing some more live coding in effort to kind of help you with 0504 and in effort to help you with the final projects. And I'll be sprinkling those in an hour here, an hour there throughout the remainder of the class.